Morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're connecting from today. I'd like to start by saying well done to the TecXposition team, and I think it's a privilege to be a part of this process. I've been checking the Slack app as well as the different platforms, and I've seen a lot of activity. So in itself, I'm very pleased with the progress so far, and kudos to the team. The topic of discussion is around hackathons, and it's important to note that we have different definitions for hackathons. So my definition for hackathon will be a fun way to crowdsource solutions, leveraging different pillars like critical thinking, teamwork, collaboration to solving important problems. And some of these problems are not just commercial in nature, but most times they're economic as well as social. And increasingly, we see the need for these problems to be solved on the African continent. The African continent is being looked upon by a lot of people as the final frontier and a bastion of hope for most people when it comes to innovation and solving for important problems. Some of the problems we're talking about include food security, healthcare, education, and the list goes on. And we see that hackathons have leveraged technology and leverage teams, leverage people across boundaries, right? There are no boundaries when it comes to leveraging this technology and virtual hackathons like what we've seen that has been delivered by the TecXposition team today. Where does that leave us as a people, as Africans, as friends of Africa, when it comes to driving the right outcomes, getting the innovation out there, ensuring that that innovation is relevant and replicable globally, irrespective of location? From a Cisco context, we've been at the forefront of driving innovation outcomes, of encouraging hackathons, and bringing together different teams from all over the globe to participate in hackathons. Some of the ways we've done this is leveraging our 13 innovation hubs globally, some in Europe and others in North America and South America. And these innovation hubs have satellite hubs, smaller hubs that feed into them. And some of those hubs, in this case, those satellite hubs I'm talking about, are in South Africa, in three locations, Johannesburg, Cape Town, and Durban, and a location in Kenya, in Nairobi, and one in Lagos, Nigeria. And these hubs have served as incubation centers for teams to come together, be it with the regular hackathon sessions we encourage, or with even providing a community of interest for different solutions to common problems that are identified. So in some cases, we will say it's a global structure or a global framework to solving local problems. So global in terms of standards, but local in terms of relevance. And we've seen a lot of success off the back of opening these centers of excellence, or these hubs as we call them. There are satellite hubs leveraging the wider global locations that we've got, that I have mentioned earlier. Another thing that we're very proud of and we've pushed consistently in the last few years is the global problem solver challenge, with a grand prize this year of $100,000, where we've worked with different startups. And I'm proud to say we've had winners in recent years, including this year, from Kenya and Nigeria. So the Kenya team was represented by the Savannah Circuit Tech startup. And what they do is they provide cooling outcomes for dairy in transit from farms. from farms across Kenya. What that does is it provides food security for people in that part of Africa. So not only is it a commercially viable innovation, it also touches upon the important aspects of providing social outcomes, in this case, food security. And we've got other runners-up from Nigeria and the Cameroon this year. It's been a challenge we've been driving in the last few years, and I look forward to as many people as possible to participate also in next year's challenge. Having said that, we also see that the pandemic has accelerated a lot of secular trends that would have happened anyways. And some of these trends is what we are experiencing today with the TecXposition, leveraging of a virtual platform to run a 2-day event, including hackathons, fireside chats, etc. I believe this is now the new normal, without driving a cliche. It's the new normal and the way that things will be done going forward. It's also seen secular trends like hybrid work, looking at remote work, working from home, etc. The pandemic, as unfortunate as it has been, has driven this or accelerated these secular trends. And as a result, Africa also is in the forefront of solving for the problems that these new workplaces or workspaces of the future will bring about. We've got a role to play, and I think we're going to get our fair share of contributing to that stream of work or that body of work that will enable people to be able to work from anywhere, remotely, mobile workers, hybrid type of workspaces, etc. And that in itself will require a lot of hackathons, people coming together, thinking critically, driving ideation outcomes, but more importantly, solving for the economic improvements that this type of work future, the future of work, the social aspects of that as well. We talk about cities. In Africa alone, we're going to have at a minimum 2 mega cities in the next 10 to 15 years. And what role will hackathons play in developing resilient cities of the future? What role will hackathons play in ensuring that we can unlock the potential in urban slums and change slums into productivity centers into the future? What role will hackathons play in ensuring that we can solve for and reduce poverty in urban slums and go through the gentrification process of turning urban slums into centers of economic activity, into centers of creativity and innovation going forward? These are some of the important things we need to think about. And these are some of the important things I'm responsible for and working towards and collaborating with different people on as well. And Cisco is very, very interested in the future of cities, in the future of work, and overall in driving an inclusive future for all. So with those thoughts, I would stop. And once again, thank TecXposition for the opportunity. It's a privilege to be a part of this process with other participants, and I look forward to more success with you in the future. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Kunle. That was great. One of the questions that I had was just around the Cisco problem solvers challenges and the opportunity. I mean, we've got quite a few teams that are hacking now, and we're not just looking at what happens before and during the hack, but how do we continue it afterwards? So how does that, how can they maybe use the support from Cisco to get involved in the problem solvers challenge and maybe take their idea further?
Indeed, it's a challenge that's open to everyone. So there's an application process. Once that process gets opened, then anybody can apply. So like I said, we've had winners from Nigeria and Kenya over time. So there's been some participation. And I want to encourage as many people as possible to get on board and apply, right? Mm-hmm. So I can send you the details for the link. So I guess people can apply and then be a part of next year's process.
Yeah, that would be great. That's something that we can definitely share after the hackathon is finished. And I know you gave the example of like the dairy farmers, and that sort of giving a way of them having a sustainable income afterwards. Are there any other solutions that have come out that you find are particularly interesting? Just to give our team some ideas of some of the things that come out from hackathons.
Okay, so there's one that I'm particularly very involved with, because I'm actually an advisory board member and a mentor to them.
Fantastic.
So it's called TREP Labs, and they were part of the 2019 Global Problem Solvers Challenge as well. They were second runners up. And what their innovation is about is producing clinical equipment, but low-cost versions of your typical clinical equipment that you see in hospitals all over the world. Mm-hmm. They've actually even gone as far as to get some recognition from Boris Johnson at the last, I think, industry. It's something called DIT. I forget now, but they are in the process of providing drips as well as blood transfusion machines for even the NHS in England. And these are two young, well, I shouldn't say young, but two guys that just recently graduated from a university over here in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. And they're doing very, very amazing things using IoT and machine learning, etc., to drive some of the outcomes for clinical equipment in hospitals.
Fantastic.
Hi, thanks for the session, Kunle. Very informative session. I wanted to ask, well, how do you see the urban slums and the rural Africa? Do you see any distinction between those two?
So your question is, how do I see the urban slums and the rural what?
Rural Africa, like the rural areas of Africa and the urban slums themselves.
Okay, so again, when you look at Africa and you look at the slums and the cities, it's a function of the huge rates of rural to urban migration, right? So you see a lot of rural migration. It's happening at amazing rates. So it's estimated that in another 10 years, 60% of people will dwell in city clusters, not in the rural area. And that's a big departure from the past, where you had more rural dwellers than urban dwellers. So what that does, it puts a lot of pressure on cities and the infrastructure, because most of these existing cities are not built to take the amount of people or the population that they are seeing. So I'll take a city like the one I'm in now, Lagos. You're looking at rural to urban migration rates in the double digits, right? And with that, you have a lot of informal settlements, otherwise known as slums, right? But what people tend to do is neglect the slums. However, within those slums is a lot of trapped opportunity if you can find a way of understanding if we could find a way of understanding the composition of those slums. Because even within the slums, you've got pseudo governments within slums, you've got landlords that are not really landowners, but they also charge you rent, etc. So there's a lot of there's a lot of economics within the slum. Either the normal economics or behavioral economics, there's a lot to study within there. And I've been doing a lot of studying of that. But there's a lot of there's a lot of productivity trapped within those slums, and it takes a lot of work. And any serious thinking city administrator or leadership should pay attention to these slums.
Right, and then the other question I was going to ask following that is Cisco doing anything to engage the rural people before they migrate to the cities and create the slums, or it's just focusing on the digitization of the urban areas because we have more enlightened people who can use the Cisco equipment and all that stuff?
So, rural work, Cisco, we've done a lot of work working with the telecoms regulator in providing communications to the underserved areas of the country, and not just in Nigeria, but across Africa, is what we've been doing to ensure outcomes around rural telephony, outcomes around rural broadband as well, because we know there's a direct correlation between broadband penetration and economic growth or GDP increase. So we've done a lot of work working with those regulators. Some of the work has been around CSR. Some of the work has been around intervention projects to ensure that where your normal operators wouldn't want to play because of the commercial viability, the intervention with the regulator allows for that coverage to be done. So we're doing a lot of work around that, helping them to get information about their farm produce to the market, so they don't need to drive almost a couple of days to the nearest market because of the state of the infrastructure of the roads, etc. They can lock down prices ahead because they've got a mobile phone, even if it's just a normal feature phone, not a smartphone. They can negotiate prices ahead, and then that way they are guaranteed their livelihoods. So we've done something along those lines. Then also around education, we working with the different local governments as well as the Ministry of Education to ensure that education gets as far out as rural areas as well through our networking academies. So I'll give you a quick example before I finish. What we did this morning was to launch with the International Telecommunications Union as well as the Norwegian government a few centers in Ghana, not in the typical cities like Accra, but just in the suburbs and in the outskirts, right? Whereby even secondary school teachers as well as primary school teachers are given an opportunity to learn digital and learn, about different things, from basic things like how to use a computer to even Python coding, etc. So those are some of the things we're working on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Cephas and Tonyeli, if you've got any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Otherwise, there will be the opportunity to ask questions later as well, and we can pass them on to Kunle.
Hi, all good here. Like, 6 points were clear to me and straightforward.
Sorry, I didn't quite get that, Cephas.
Yeah, I was like, I'm all good here. Like, it was very understandable.
No problem. No problem. Okay. All right. Well, we'll wrap here. Thank you so much, Kunle. Thank you for the time and the session as well. Very, very informative. And I'm very excited. I'll definitely be reaching out to find out more because it's a very interesting area.
Awesome. And wish you all the best for the remaining sessions today.
Thank you.
as well as tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the judging panel tomorrow.
Thanks for the support for the hackathon as well.
Yes.
Sure. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Take care. Bye. Thanks, everyone. Bye.